Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to introduce a interesting reading vlog. Let me actually tell you the background behind this vlog. Basically, this vlog was supposed to come out at the end of 2024, and it was gonna be me finishing as many series as I could before the end of the year. Then I decided, let's just prolong this vlog because there were other books I really wanted to read. I think I was gonna be starting, I was gonna start reading like books for my popular romances and romantices of 2024. So I didn't have enough series finished, in my opinion, to justify that vlog yet. So I was like, you know what, let me just push it to February and then I'm gonna upload it on February. Then February came and I was in the middle of a giant reading slump. So this vlog got pushed back again. And I think the plan was to upload it in June or something. Then it got pushed back and now I'm like, it's August. I want to continue on with my series vlogs, but I want to structure it a bit differently. So this vlog just needs to get up. And in my mind, I still wanted to finish a couple other series. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I just don't care. Let me just upload this vlog. It is plenty long enough because I already edited it. And I believe, let me see. Yeah, it is like 57 minutes already. So it doesn't need any other books. I believe I finished, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 series. And I think that is plenty. When I start every book, it will tell you before I start the book, start talking about the book, when I actually finish it. So some things just don't make any sense. Like for example, I'll be reading Wild Eyes in this vlog. And that is because at the time of reading it, it was finishing a series or getting caught up on a series. When, of course, in March, the third book already came out, which I've already read, which I'll leave the vlog linked where I read that book. So, and then my plan was actually also to like interject every once in a while about every book, but I'm not gonna do that. If I read a different book in a series, in a different vlog, I will leave every vlog linked for you. So if you wanna know more of my thoughts on different books in a particular series, check the description or the cards for that particular vlog. I really hope you enjoyed this video regardless because it has been months in the making. And if you want to say that you were here but you don't actually want to comment anything, leave me like a clock emoji or a calendar emoji or something for like the amount of time it has taken me to finally upload this vlog. So I'm on page 163 of The Wedding Witch by Aaron Sterling. So I'm 58% of the way through, and this is the third and final book in the X-Hex series. And for those of you who don't know, X-Hex is one of my favorite books of all time. I fucking love that book. So, but the second book was not really my favorite, and I don't think this book will be my favorite, but let's tell you the synopsis. So you follow Bowen Penhallow, who is the middle child. It's his romance with Tamsin, who we've seen her around in the first and second book. And Bowen has been pretty much the secluded hermit brother. So you have seen him around, like obviously he is Reese and see, I already forgot. Llewellyn, I think that's his name, right? Anyway, he's their brother, so he's been around. And Tamsin is a human who is a procurer of magical artifacts. I think you're a little bit in my face. Let me do that. Perfect. Okay, Bowen obviously is a witch. He didn't know all that history between Tamsin and Reese and Vivi, so he hires her company to get him some items. And when he meets her on Christmas Eve, actually, which this is actually a perfect time to read this book, he wants to exclusively hire her for his services, and he wants like these magical items and he wants them pretty frequently. And then they have this like kiss together before they actually sign, because because she tells him, I don't mix pleasure with work, so now that we're working together we cannot have anything romantic. And then actually you see snippets of their year together. So you get a snippet of January, a snippet of May, and a snippet of November, and then the book actually starts. And now we're a year later in December again. So they've been working for a year, and she has like exclusively worked for him. But now she goes on her regular website where people can request magical items, and she sees a very big job that will pay her $1 million if she can get this one magical item. And that magical item, she has to get it at this house. Let me see what that house is called. Anyway, it's a magical house of this magical family in Wales. In the meantime, he also is there for a particular reason that I will not spoil. Like, before this wedding happens, they both get transported back in time to 1957. And now they have to pretend to be married, and they also have to find a way to get out of there and get back to their own time. And also, she still wants to get this magical item so that she can get her payout. Okay, so let me start with what I really love about this book. I think they have good chemistry, honestly. Like, I like them together. They're very much opposites attract. He is stoic, he's silent, the silent type. Sometimes he talks a lot about things he's passionate about, but other than that, he's pretty much silent. And she is a wild child. She's a free spirit. And what I also really loved is seeing Reese, my love, as a father. They have a child now, and I fucking love Reese, and seeing him as a father does things to my ovaries. Like, I love him, and just seeing him in his brother's books confirms why I love him so much, and confirms that it's most certainly the first book that is my favorite book. Obviously, I love all the Welsh spoken. He already called her Cariad. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but stop, I love that. And I actually also kind of like them going back in the past, because I don't know, I tend to kind of like time travel stories, so that I like. One thing I don't like is, so like I said, I am 58% of the way through. He already thought about love in reference to her, because Cariad means that, but also he already thought it before then. Logically, I can understand why he would love her, because they've already spoken for a year. It seems like they talk to each other every single day. They have talked to each other every single day. So it's not that it doesn't make sense logically that he would be in love with her after a year. It's just that we don't get to see that on page. And if there's one thing I don't like, is if we don't get to see it on page, because then why am I reading a romance? You know what I mean? And what I'm referencing mainly is, yeah, you do see some things in January, in May, and November, but literally all of those are like 3 or 4 pages each. So that does not a romance make. All the things I'm seeing right now, I'm liking, and I like their interactions, and I do think they have chemistry, but I haven't seen them actually falling in love with each other, because that all happened off page. So that already sours me a little bit on this book, because I want to be there with them, watching them fall in love. I don't want to have them tell me they love each other and me not having seen it. So that's the biggest gripe I have with this book. So we'll have to see for the rest of the story, but already it cannot be a 5, because I haven't actually seen them fall in love. And this is not a very long book. Like, it only has 280 pages. I feel like, I think this could have worked had those snippets been longer, like the ones we got in that year. Like, if all of those had been like 10 or 20 pages, meaning this book should have been probably 50 pages longer, then maybe I could have believed it. But right now I just don't. Like, you cannot, it's like, I haven't seen them fall in love. Those 3-4 pages, and so like 10 pages in total, does not a romance make. So we'll have to see. So it won't take me this long to finish, although I don't know if I can finish it tonight, but for sure tomorrow. And tomorrow I have to film anyway, so I'll give you my final thoughts tomorrow. Okay, so I finished The Wedding Witch, and this was fine. I honestly I didn't expect great things. I think it's just the X-Hex that for some reason has a special hold on my heart. And the rest of the books I just don't care about, because while reading The Wedding Witch, even though I had read the second book like last year, let me actually see when I read it. So The Kiss Curse, I actually gave that one 4 stars. It probably doesn't deserve it, but I read it in April of 2023. I didn't really remember a whole lot. Like, the nicknames Gwyn called Wells and stuff like that, I was like, I don't know. And she talked about baby witches, and I was like, what? I have no recollection at all. And I think it's going to be the same thing for The Wedding Witch. I still stand by everything I said in my earlier updates. I loved the Welsh that was spoken. I loved the fact that this was set during Christmas. Like, this was the perfect time to read it. And if you also want to finish this series, I would say read this book right now, because you do fly through it. It's not even 300 pages. But I'm gonna give this book 3 stars. So the XX 5 stars, my favorite book of all time. Then the Kiss Curse I gave 4 stars, and now the Wedding Witch is 3 star. I liked it. It was fine, but I don't think I'm gonna be thinking about this book or these characters. In fact, the only really exciting things that happened in this book was when Reese showed up and I got to swoon over him and swoon over him being a dad. So if you're thinking about starting the series, I would say just read the X-Hex and leave it at that, unless there's a character you're really, really intrigued by. But for me, that was the case for Bowen, and this was fine. Also, like, plot-wise, like, romance-wise, I liked both of them. Like, I liked their romance and I liked seeing them together, apart from the fact that he used I love you way too soon, or in his head at least. But, like, plot-wise, things just didn't make any sense. I felt like she just threw stuff at the wall and we were supposed to accept it. I don't feel like a lot was explained well. So even plot-wise, it wasn't that amazing. But it did pass the time. This does finish a series off for me. So right now I have finished 1 series, so that's good. Yeah, she's not gonna publish any more books in this series because all 3 brothers now got their book. Do I want to say anything else? I think that's it. Like, really, I know the thoughts, head empty. And yeah, I guess that's it. The next book I'm gonna start is Wild Eyes, which, yes, does not finish off a series, but it does get me caught up because I have not read this book yet, even though usually I would have already read this book, but I was in a reading slump. So I am very excited about this one. So this is the second book in the Rose Hill series, and you follow the brother of the main character in the first book, and you follow this Taylor Swift-like singer, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm gonna download it right now. I actually already ordered the paperback, but it has not arrived yet. And I kind of prefer these Piatka's editions to, the spines get easily broken. So I prefer reading them on Kindle. So this has 400 pages. So hopefully I can finish it. Let me actually think. So tonight I don't have a whole lot going on. Tonight is Sunday, and then tomorrow, this week is kind of busy, so we'll see. Hopefully I can finish it either tomorrow or the day after, but I'm very excited about it. So I'm currently reading Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver, and yes, this does not finish a series, but it does get me caught up on it, because I should have read this when it came out, but I was in my reading slump. So I'm on page 276. Which is 63% of the way through. I wanted to update you yesterday, but I really didn't feel like it, so here I am. Before I get started, so this book is the second book in the Rose Hill series, and you follow Weston Belmont, who is Rosie's brother from the first book, and it's his romance with famous country music star Skylar Stone. So this book starts off with him saving her from being attacked by a bear, because she is, like, very close to the bear trying to take pictures, and he basically saves her and then berates her for doing that and tells her that that is definitely not a cuddly teddy bear. It's an actual bear that would actually kill her. And then of course they meet each other again because she's in Rose Hill to record an album at Ford's recording studio. But if you read the first book, you know his goal was to have this recording studio plus these little cottages where people can stay, but those haven't finished yet. So Ford and Rosie tell her that there is a place for her at Weston's place. And of course they had already met. So she's staying in his bunkhouse where Rosie stayed in the first book. And she gets close to him and his 2 kids, Emmy and Oliver, and it's gonna be their romance. And by the grin on my face, you can tell that I am really enjoying this book. One thing that is not working in this book's favor is that I tend to not really love a book where there's a famous character, unless that person is a athlete of some sort. But I tend to not really love rock star romances or movie star romances. It's just, I can love them, but the book has to work a little bit harder to convince me. This one I am loving so much. First of all, I love Weston. I think he's so hot. He's so sexy. I love him. He's funny too. And I really like Skylar. So basically it seems like she has been modeled after Taylor Swift, except for the fact that she has sucky parents. Basically, her parents have been using her entire life, and they have been taking all her money and not really being good parents. And that has traumatized her in ways. And she knew that before, but she really realizes this once she sees Weston actually being a good dad to his children. And Emmy and Oliver are just so adorable and so cute. They're really scene stealers. I like their two complete opposite personalities. They actually remind me of me and my brother when we were that age, where I was a little bit more feistier and really would stand up for my brother, even though I was definitely a couple years younger, whereas he was the more quiet one. So Oliver is selectively mute, so he only talks to the people he knows and trusts and is very silent with other people, but he really, like, from the very first moment he meets Skylar, he starts talking to her, so everybody around them is very impressed by that, and that obviously will endear them more to her. It's like, I love Elsie Silver. Like, getting into her book is so easy. I think I love this book already a little bit more than Wild Love. I just love the tension these two have. I already like some of the scenes they have. They have not slept together yet, but I think it's coming. No pun intended. Yeah, I'm enjoying this book. I'm loving their interactions together. And yeah, I guess those are my thoughts for now. Like I said, I want to give you more of my in-depth thoughts once I actually finish it. But so far, I think I'm going to love this a little bit more than Wild Love, even though I also loved Wild Love a lot. And already I'm very much looking forward to the third book, because the characters in that book, the scenes these two have in this book, I also already really love. So yeah, I guess I'll update you once I finish. All right. So today is my work Christmas party, so that's why I am so dressed up. But I did finish Wild Eyes. I don't really remember what I said in my last update, but I give this book 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed Weston. I thought he was such a swoony guy. He was so sexy to me. Like, I loved how he was who he was, and he didn't apologize for it at all. And I love what a good dad he was. Like, he was so, I don't know, like, I fell very hard for him when he was being like in full dad mode. And these kids in this book, like, I thought she did such a good job with these kids. I love them both for different reasons. Like, I thought Emmy was such a ball of sunshine and just a ball of chaos, obviously, because she was. And Oliver was very adorable. Like, it was very endearing. And Skylar I really enjoyed. I told you in the beginning that I sometimes have issues with famous characters in books. I really enjoyed Skylar. I think my problem is I don't really tend to like the whole Hollywood vibe. I preferred, obviously, like, the majority of this book was spent in this small town, so I did enjoy seeing her like that. And I liked her process of writing these songs and the way Oliver also played a part in that. There was obviously a third act conflict. It made sense, the third act conflict, like the way she reacted to it, although Elsie Silver, more often than not, doesn't really write third act breakups. It's more like third act conflicts. This was more like a third act breakup, but I thought even in this case she handled that pretty well. And yeah, of course I loved it. I would highly recommend it. I don't know what else there is to say. 5 stars. There was actually a quote I wanted to read to you. Let me find it. I think I put it in my Goodreads review. So the quote I really loved in this book was, "I've known West for what feels like a blink of an eye and a lifetime all at once." Isn't that just magical? Like, those people that you meet and you haven't known them that long, but for some reason it feels like you've known them your entire life. I really enjoyed this book. And I like the way the third book was set up, so I'm very much looking forward to reading that. That one comes out in March, I believe. So yeah. If you have not read this series yet, or if you've not read Elsie Silver, what are you doing with your life? Do yourself a favor and go read her books. And this is her newest series, so you could start with this one without having read the other ones, although obviously the Chestnut Spring series is a beloved series for a reason. Yeah, the next one I actually already started. It's gonna be Sweet Surrender. Yeah, by Viano Onyomo. The first book is Sweet Vengeance, which I read at the beginning of the year. So this is the second book, and so far the last book in the series. So since it's only a novella, I'm just going to give you my thoughts when I finish it. Okay, so I finished 2 books for this vlog. The first book is Sweet Surrender, which I don't know if this is the last book in the series, but at least I'm caught up. And I actually talked about this book right when I finished it in my tier ranking new releases video. So I don't really have any other thoughts than what I shared in that video. So I'll leave that clip here so you can watch it. Because I don't know if a lot of people watch that tier ranking video, so you can watch it here. If you're interested, I'll leave that video linked for you, but just know that the Sweet Surrender portion is the exact same. Okay, so it's a week later from when I filmed the rest of this video, and if you think I live in this sweater, you're right. It's my favorite sweater, but I did wash it in between. I'm here to talk about, honestly, the last book I read, and technically I have not finished this yet, but I still need to read about 40 pages, and my Kindle tells me it's gonna take me 50 minutes, and I really wanna just upload this video because it's already going up a little bit later than usual on Sundays. So I am confident with my rating because I'm gonna give it 4 stars. If anything changes or if I have any other thoughts that I really wanna share, check the description box for my thoughts on this book. So I'm talking about Sweet Surrender, which you already know since it's been up the whole time. This is the second book in the Sweet Demon series, the first book being Sweet Vengeance. And Sweet Vengeance was pretty popular last year. A lot of people that I follow really love that book. And this one is not that popular. Let me actually see. Yeah, it only has 184 ratings. And to be honest, I haven't really heard anybody else talk about it, so I really wanted to include it in this video. So, Sweet Surrender by Viano Onyomo is another demon romance, and another one where a human makes a deal with a demon, and this time it's an MM romance, so you follow Saint and Knight. And this also takes place in Nigeria, and I felt like this book, we saw a little bit more of Nigeria than we did in the first book. From what I remember of the first novella, correct me if I'm wrong, but that book, like, it wasn't until she mentioned Nigeria that I realized, oh wait, we're not in the US or the UK or wherever else. Whereas here, it's clear that it's definitely set in Nigeria. So Saint has basically been stalked for years because he was in a cult, a very religious cult. And since he fled from that, people have been following him around and like stalking him, and he has been moving around because of that. And now he doesn't want to run anymore because he met this demon in his dreams where they had this like sexy time together doing like primal play and consensual non-consent. And then in the dream, the demon, whose name is Knight, showed him how to summon him. And when he's found again in a place that really feels like home to him, he summons Knight to protect him basically. And this is that romance. And it's a novella, it's an MM romance, like I said. And since this takes place in Nigeria, and apparently being queer is illegal in Nigeria, the fact that he's queer poses a real threat, and their relationship poses a real threat. So it's not just about his relationship with Knight, it's also about him navigating being queer in Nigeria. So there are already some scenes where I'm sorry, if my voice sounds off, I'm getting sick. So my throat hurts, my body hurts, like I'm so tired. I just want somebody to cook dinner for me. That's all I want. So maybe I'll order something. Anyway, moving on, that's neither here nor there. It's him also navigating being queer in Nigeria and making friends. I'm giving this book 4 stars because, so I don't know if it's because of this book or because it's the end of the year and I'm so tired. So the sun apparently, today it has been shining, but it hasn't really shone in the last 10 days. And I'm really feeling the effects of that. I'm very, very tired. And like I said, I'm also getting sick. So it might have something to do with that. But even though this is less than 200 pages, it's for sure a novella. I'm on my 7th day reading it. So that is way too long. It's very easy for me to put this book down. I do have to say, while reading it, I am enjoying it. Like, I'm liking Saint and Knight together. I'm really liking seeing queer people in Nigeria. A part of me wishes this was a little bit longer because I would assume, I haven't finished it yet. Obviously, I still need to read 40 pages, but I know I'm probably going to want more of his relationship with Teresa, who's another queer character in this book. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. The sex scenes they've had were already so fucking hot. I know Viano does them very well because I did read Sweet Vengeance. If you want a book that is like very focused on revenge, this is not it. Like, this is definitely different from Sweet Vengeance. Obviously it's called Sweet Surrender, and the title does indicate that it's definitely not about vengeance. It's like Saint just wants to be safe, he wants to live his life, he wants to be left alone, and that's the reason why he summoned Night. Whereas Joy wanted revenge, basically. And I feel like that the difference between them is that Joy, I feel like she has more agency over her life, whereas Saint really, like if it wasn't for Night showing him the summoning spell, he would not know that Night was real or that he could get protection. I feel like things just happen accidentally for him. Like, if Night hadn't just stumbled upon his dreams, then Saint would have probably fled his place by now. But having said that, it doesn't affect my enjoyment. Like I said, I am enjoying it, and it's 4 stars, and I would highly recommend that. Like, I don't understand why this doesn't have more ratings. I would say if you read and loved Sweet Vengeance, pick up Sweet Surrender, and if you haven't, you can read Sweet Surrender without having read Sweet Vengeance, but I would recommend them both. If you want definitely a diverse book, then this would be perfect. Let me see when this one came out. It has been a while, so that's why I am... Yeah, so it came out in May. I have to say, it wasn't that... I think I just stumbled upon this book. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't that clear that Sweet Vengeance already had a sequel, which probably is the reason why a lot of people haven't picked it up yet. But I would highly recommend it. 4 stars. If you're not in a reading slump or not sick like me, then you will probably fly through it because the writing is very easy and it's very easy to read. So yeah, do I have any other thoughts? No, I think that's it. I'm gonna edit this video now and finish this book. Moving on to Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the 3rd and final book in the Illuminae Files series by them. I reread Illuminae earlier in the year to try and get out of my reading slump, and it worked. Then I finished Gemina also very quickly. Because of the Goodreads Choice Awards, I had to postpone Obsidio, but I finally got around to it in December, and I'm so glad that I did. For those of you who don't know, the Illuminae Files follows these group of teenagers and this rogue AI trying to stop this big corporation from killing people for their own profit, basically. That's like a loose synopsis. And this is a young adult series, and what people always say, and after doing it this way, I 100% agree. You should definitely read this book while listening to the audiobook at the same time, and try and get the US audiobook because that one is the best one. It is a full cast with background noise and everything, and this is all mixed media, so reading it at the same time is also, I would highly recommend doing that because it also has like other graphics, like for example this one, but also drawings. I cannot really tell you a whole lot about Obsidio considering it is the 3rd book in a series, and you do have to read the series in order, but I really enjoyed it. I flew through it even though it's 600 pages, but because it's all mixed media and listening to the audiobook at the same time, I just flew through it. I just wanted to read more and more and more. And I am so happy I finally finished off the series because I actually started reading this series. Let me see when. I started reading it in 2017, and when I first read it, I didn't listen to the audiobook. So it was fine. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I never really had any incentive to finish it. But now I listened to it at the same time, and I immediately finished it the same year. And I would, if not for the Goodreads Choice Awards, I probably would have finished it within 2 months. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Yes, this doesn't have any spice, but I don't think it needs it at all. This reminded me that I should read more young adult in my life, that I really miss young adult books. Like, as much as I love adult books, but I feel like I like the simplistic, but yet heartwarming way young adult books are. And this doesn't shy away from heavy topics at all. Like, there are brutal death scenes in here, and some scenes in here definitely broke my heart. Yeah, I really loved it. I really loved it so much. So if you've not read this series yet, I would highly recommend it, especially if you're in a reading slump or if you're kind of tired of reading the same books over and over again. This is like nothing I've read before. Like, it is so unique on its, like, and I don't think I've heard anybody else compare this book to anything else. Like, it stands on its own and it's beautiful. And yeah, I would highly recommend it. I need to stop because my battery is dying, but yeah, very happy I finished it. 5 stars, obviously, if I didn't say. I think I gave them all 5 stars now, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend this series. Okay, so I am currently reading Sinner by Sierra Simone. This is the second book in the Priest series by her. And I read Priest earlier in the year for a like smutty vlog, I think. So I'll leave that linked for you. Basically, this series follows the 3 Bell brothers and each of them kind of coming to terms with their faith and the ways they deal with their grief and faith after their sister committed suicide after years of abuse from their priest. So that happened years ago, and I believe like maybe a decade ago, a little bit longer than that. So Tyler in the first book, he dealt with it by becoming a priest and becoming the exact opposite kind of priest that was the original priest who did bad stuff to his sister. And Sean, whose book is Sinner, he completely forsook his faith. Like, he is not religious, he doesn't believe in God, he just doesn't want anything to do with God or religion or Catholicism, nothing at all. He has basically been living his life fucking anything that moves, basically. Technically not anything that moves. Like, people who already are like dirty in his mind. Like either strippers or like already married women who come on to him, people like that. Until he meets this mysterious younger girl. So he's 36 and he works for this, I don't know, something in banking or investment firm or something like that. And his boss calls him up to his office telling him that this building he just bought was owned by nuns, and now they went to the press because apparently he's like the big bad wolf that took the nuns' little building away from them because they were renting it for really cheap to do like good work there. So when he goes to confront the nuns and try and see if he can make a deal with them, he sees the girl he had this one nice evening with, and it turns out that it's not just any girl, it is his best friend's little sister, 15 years younger, and she wants to be a nun. So her name is Zenny. Like a couple days later, she shows up at his house and she tells him that her teacher, I guess, her nun teacher, told her that she wants her to experience everything so that she knew what kind of vows she would be making when she started the process of becoming a nun. So basically, I don't think she actually told her go have sex, but basically that's what it is. So she wants Sean to teach her, okay, and to show her all the things she will be missing once she gets married to God. He at first doesn't want to because she's his best friend's little sister, and also being with her kind of stirs up memories from the past that he has suppressed. And also the age gap. He is 36, she's 21, so there's a 15-year age gap there. But eventually he agrees, and they have this month together where they will do all kinds of sexual things so that she can experience everything before she will become a nun, basically. So I am liking this. I am on page 239 so far, so 56% of the way through. This is an erotic romance. Sierra Simone writes erotic romances, and I think she does them very well. I really enjoyed Priest. This is different. Okay, so basically all three, well, technically the first two are all from the hero's point of view, so you never really get insights to what their heroines are thinking. And I found I really missed that in Priest. I'm not really so much missing that here in Sinner. I am of two minds about Sean. First of all, I think he loves reading historical romances, which I just love, of course. And his mother is sick and dying. Actually, she has cancer. And when he takes her to get her chemo treatment, he reads her historical romances out loud, which of course that melted me. That is fucking adorable. I loved seeing that. But on the other hand, he doesn't read like a 36-year-old to me. Like, this doesn't feel like a 15-year-old age gap. He reads 26 to me. Like, at points he is so immature, which maybe there's a point to that, but like, especially Tyler. Tyler read so mature to me. Even though he's technically the younger one of the two. But I don't know, like, maybe it's because of his interests, they're very vapid, shallow, and I'm assuming we're gonna see in this book that he's gonna change because of her, because she is a do-gooder, she wants to help people. So I guess, yes, there's a big age gap, but technically she's the more adult one of them. Zenny, I'm fine with her. I don't really have any real thoughts about her. I'm kind of neutral about her. I don't hate her at all, definitely not. And I also don't really love her. I'm fine with her. What else? Oh yeah, one thing I obviously love is she, even though there's obviously a 15-year age gap, he was her longtime unrequited crush when she was a teenager, which I definitely relate to that. So obviously he was 15 years older. She could never actually have something with him, but he was her brother's best friend and he's very handsome. All the Bell brothers are described as very handsome. And I just love that. And I love how now he's definitely the one that's falling first. Like he's obsessed with her. He wants to do everything for her. And it's clear that he's falling fast and falling hard. Whereas for her, right now where I'm at this in the story, it's just an experiment for her. She trusts him because, you know, he will not really hurt her. And also she trusts him not to fall in love with her because her ultimate plan is to become a nun. And she's very wrong about that because he's definitely falling for her. I am thoroughly enjoying myself. The sex scenes are very hot. Sierra Simone definitely knows what she's doing. There's a lot of like teach me things and they sometimes very much play into like the age gap. Like he pretends to be her teacher and explains things about her body and stuff. And I find that disturbingly hot, okay? Just like her. I don't know why, but I just do. It's so hot. It just is. I'm gonna continue. Right now, as I'm filming it, it's December 31st and I really want to finish this book before the new year because I don't like to read books. I want to finish all my 2024 reading before 2025 starts. So my ebook tells me I still need to read about 3 hours. So I'm gonna do that now and hopefully I can finish it before January 1st. So I finished Sinner yesterday and I think most of what I wanted to say I already said in my update. I ended up giving this 4 stars, the same rating as I gave Priest, for similar reasons as to why I gave Priest 4 stars, which I don't know if I said it, but I read Priest in my Reading Smutty Books vlog in like 48 hours, which I'll leave that linked for you. Sinner deals with a terminally ill mother, and Sean, being the oldest and the most responsible of the ones that live close by, is very much affected by that. He, like, pretty much all the weight is on his shoulders. His dad doesn't really do anything. Yet he never really confides in Zenny. The only thing he does is basically fuck her, which, yes, I get it's an erotic romance, but it's not an erotica. I get the erotic scenes move the plot forward, but in any kind of romance, I still want the emotional moments there. I still want, especially if one of the characters is dealing with something as horrible as a mother who is actually dying, I want that character to talk about it with the love of his life. And that didn't happen here, which that kind of bothered me. So we never really got to see the little moments, the more emotional moments, the scenes where they actually developed feelings. So that's why it's a 4 star. I teared up in this book a couple times, so it did affect me. I think Sierra Simone has a beautiful writing style. And yes, the sex scenes were amazing, and I did believe that they moved the relationship forward. So 4 stars, I would recommend it. I think I said this in my wrap up, but I don't understand why, in God's name, they changed the cover to these flowery covers. Like, that is exactly why some readers feel like who are you trying to convince to buy these books? Because people who have no interest in really smutty reads would never want to read them. So why have these flowery covers? I don't know. I don't understand. I thought the original covers were amazing, especially the Sinner one was so hot. Okay, anyway, moving on. That was a side tangent. I still love the fact that he was reading historical romances and how much he was thinking about these historical romances. Like, he would equate his life to these historical romances. I loved how it started off, like this is exactly my catnip and what I want in my own life. So it started with her as a teenager having this unrequited love for him, this unrequited crush. You know, he was the boy she never thought she would get because he was 15 years older. He was her brother's best friend. And then when they finally did start having an actual relationship, he was the one who fell first. Like, he fell first and he fell so unbelievably hard. That is my dream, honestly. To have one of the guys I had an unrequited crush, to meet that person again and to have him fall first and hard. Yes, please. I loved seeing more of Tyler, although we never really got to see Poppy, which surprised me. I also read Gloria, by the way, and I like that little short story. Oh yeah, one thing that also kind of bothered me is, yeah, that is also one of the reasons why this never got a 5-star. We never really got to see them actually be happy and in love, except for in the epilogue, because it took her until the very last moment to finally decide that he was going to be the one that she chose. That I also don't I don't really like that. I like, either I want the couple to be together, like really together, and then for like a third act breakup to happen. And if that doesn't happen, then I want the ending to be a little bit longer so we can actually see them be happy together and not just in the epilogue. Having said all that, I still would recommend it. You can read this without having read the first one, but I enjoyed reading them in order. So yes, I'm gonna take a break from this vlog because technically this was supposed to be up at the end of December. That didn't happen. Instead, now it's going to be up at the end of February. So I'm going to take a break to do my BookTube's favorite romances video, and I have some other videos I want to do. But for now, in my head, yeah, I think I'm going to read maybe Saint next or another series. You'll see. Anyway, I think I'm going to splice these series. I'm going to put the series together. So the next clip you're going to see is going to be me reading Saint. So see you then. So I started Saint by Sierra Simone and I am about halfway through, so I figured let's give you an update. So I'm on chapter 33, page 213. So Saint is the third and final book in her Priest series. You follow Sean Bell and Elijah. And in the second book, you know, if you've read the second book, then you know that they used to be together. So Elijah is Zenny's brother and Aidan's best friend. I'm sorry, I keep messing their names up. So Aidan is the main character in this book, and Zenny, or Elijah, is Sean's best friend. So Sean was the hero in Sinner. Because of something that happened, and I think I can already guess what that thing is, but it's not specified in the first half of this book, so I'm not gonna speculate about that. Aidan left in the middle of the night, and he broke up with Elijah, and he didn't give any reasonings to why. He gave him his farmhouse, and he told Elijah that he could either keep it or sell it. And then he ended up becoming a monk. So Aidan is a monk now, his brother Patrick now. They haven't seen or spoken to each other in 5 years. Now Elijah showed up. What is that called? Anyway, now Elijah showed up and he tells Aidan that he's there to write a piece for his magazine article, but he also wants to inform him that he is now engaged to be married to somebody else. Patrick has never stopped thinking about Elijah. He is definitely his love of his life. This is an MM romance, in case you hadn't guessed yet. And around the time Elijah shows up, his, like, boss, I guess, it's not a boss, like the person who actually is the leader of their monk group tells him that he sees how much brother Patrick is struggling, and apparently in Europe, they are more strict. Like the monks there are more strict. So he wants to send him off to Europe and to see if maybe he can go there and be a monk. Elijah ends up joining him on this trip. And in this trip, they go to Belgium, France, and Ireland. And this is going to be their second chance romance. So far, not much sexual has happened yet in the first half of this book. I feel like in Priest and Sinner, more sexy things have happened at this point in the story, and that's okay. I think the real, like, smutty thing's gonna happen at the latter half of this book. It is clear that Aidan has been struggling with his mental health because he also set up this group with his monk brothers to talk to each other once a week to discuss their mental health. So their little sister committed suicide. That is basically the start of the brothers and their questioning of their religion and their faith. That all started when their little sister committed suicide after years of abuse by her priest. Tyler from the first book, he ended up becoming a priest to try and change things by becoming a good priest himself. Sean forsook all religion, and Aidan was kind of going along with the flow, and then something happened to him that ended up making him want to be a monk. It is clear that both of them have been pining for the other one. Elijah and the reader want to know what happened. Like, Elijah has questions, and I do too as a reader. And we do get, like, what I find interesting in this book, so all these books are from the Bell brothers' point of view. And in this book, you actually get snippets of Elijah's thoughts through through the notes he's writing, which I really enjoy. I really want to know more of his thoughts. So far, I'm enjoying it. I really love her writing style, but I do feel like, so yes, she did incorporate a lot of religion, especially in the first book. But I felt like those I could understand. I feel like with this book, there's a lot of like religious terms and religious things they do, like rituals and things they use that I don't know what that is. So sometimes it does take me out of the story because I have to research that. Whereas I felt like with the priest thing, that happened a little bit less than in this book. So we'll have to see. I do enjoy it. I love a second chance romance. It does seem very heartbreaking and sad. And so far I've given the first 2 books 4 stars. We'll have to see if this one is going to get the same rating. So I'm going to continue on, and I guess I'll just update you once I finish. So I finally finished Saint, and you know what I just realized? And I might go straight to hell for saying this, but hey ho, we're here already. When I was putting in like my review on Goodreads, I realized I started this book the day the former Pope died, when Pope Francis died. And I was reading this book all the way through like his funeral and the choosing of the new Pope, Pope Leo. So that was an interesting tidbit. Anyway, Saint took me way too long to finish, not because of the book itself, but because I started reading it and then a bunch of new releases came out that I just had to prioritize. So I took a big break from reading this book. And then once I finished all those new releases, I came back and finished it. So all in all, it took me about 26 days to actually finish this book. I started it on April 21st and finished it on May 16th. So I don't really remember all my thoughts in my first update, but at the end of the day, I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars, just like the other 2 books in this series. I do think probably the fact that I had a giant break from this book halfway through didn't help my experience with it. Sierra Simone just once again proved what a beautiful writing style she has. I definitely enjoyed this book. It deals with very hard topics. It deals with depression, suicidal thoughts, actually attempted suicide. So be forewarned before getting into this one. This is the more difficult book of them all. It's the only male-male romance. And I did like the discussion of being a Catholic, being religious, but also being queer and how that ties into everything, and like the hard discussions that are had in this book. But I did also like the fact that in this book, the people that knew about it, like the religious people that knew about it, that we actually had meaningful interactions with, they were wonderful about all of that. So I did enjoy that. I loved seeing all the other characters from the earlier books in this book, but I felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect with me and the romance in this book. I did enjoy it. I do love a second chance romance, but sometimes with second chance romances, the benefit of a second chance romance also sometimes is a disadvantage, meaning that there's already a solid basis there, a basis of love, like, and not just of that, like they've known each other for a long time because they grew up together since Elijah was Aidan's brother's best friend. Like he was Sean's brother, or Sean's friend. They've known each other for such a long time. So then when they see each other again, both of them are still like in love with each other, which makes sense. But it has been 5 years. So to me, to take that leap when I haven't really seen them fall in love the first time was a little bit harder for me. I think I would have preferred a little bit more flashbacks to watch them actually fall in love the first time, or they shouldn't have jumped into love right away, because I just found it a bit harder to take that leap with them considering I wasn't there the first time around. So yeah, I think that is basically a little bit of my criticism with this book. Having said all that, it was beautiful. I loved all their scenes together. I loved, obviously Sierra Simone writes more smuttier books, so I did love them role-playing, technically, like their games. There's a chastity device used in here and it's used a lot. And I did like the games they played where, you know, he was pretending to be a monk who was so... Anyway, I don't want to really get into that, but I did like, and that was one thing I also really loved in Sinner, the second book, where they were like role-playing some stuff, and I did enjoy that. So overall, I think, so this is the third book, the third and final book. I would recommend this series, and I did feel like that was more true for Saint. At one point, there was just like a lot of religion in there, and a lot of terms that I just am not that familiar with, which meant that I had to look it up, which took me out of the story. So definitely very heavily religious and like religious talk in here. So keep that in mind when picking this up, like whether or not you want to read all about all that. But I at the end of the day, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the series. And as taboo as it was, I did feel like there were definitely some meaningful conversations in here, and I was rooting for every single character in this series. So I did enjoy my time. And like I said, I think Sierra Simone is a wonderful author. Like, her prose are beautiful. So I'm very much looking forward to reading more by her. I think the next one is going to be the new Camelot series, or her newest series, the Tristan and Isolde retelling. So we'll have to see. But yeah, 4 stars. And like I said, I gave all of them 4 stars. What I really love about this series is that it is a single point of view from the male point of view, and I know this is a male-male romance technically, but it's basically you follow the Bell brothers, and it's all single point of view from one of the Bell brothers. What I did like in Saint, I don't know if I mentioned it in the first update, is that, and that didn't happen in the first 2 books, you get some snippets of Elijah's thoughts through his journal entries. So I did enjoy that. So it was like a little bit of a taste of his thoughts, but I did enjoy that, reading about that. So yes, I don't know what I'm going to be reading next, but you're going to find out in a couple seconds. So I read and finished The Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. And the plan was to actually film my update when I was filming other videos, so I looked better, but I forgot. So here we are. So this is a direct sequel to The Crimson Moth or Heartless Hunter. So I cannot really go too in detail about my thoughts. If you want to know my thoughts on The Crimson Moth, check out my reading BookTube's favorite romances and romanticises of 2024, because I give you all my thoughts in that vlog. This one I really enjoy. I just really love Rune and Gideon together. I think they're a great couple. I love their banter together. I love their dynamic together. I love how much they love each other and also hate that they love each other. And I did like all the shenanigans they got up to in this book. I thought it was fast-paced. The chapters were really short, so those 2 things made me fly through it. Although I do have to say, so this is a duology. I think this could have easily been a trilogy, because I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars because I thought the last 100 pages should have been its own book and not crammed into the back of this one. If that had happened, like, this trilogy would have been like my all-time favorite trilogy. And now I felt like she really rushed through the ending when that was not necessary. I think she could have easily done a trilogy, and that would have been like, people would have bought the 3rd book anyway. I just really liked this world she created. I love that we got to see a different aspect of this world. I love how, like, I genuinely believed in this enemies to lovers romance. Like, both of them had genuine gripes with the other one. Both of them had genuine hatred towards the other one. But I did like how slowly their own preconceived notions were questioned and how that was handled in this book. So that was clear to me, like, for the couple. But then, of course, this is a world where witches are being hunted, or at least a country where witches are being hunted. And I just felt like the leap from these 2 to the entire country, that should have taken more time. It would have been more believable if that had taken a little bit more time. But yeah, I think those are my thoughts. I really don't have a whole lot to say about it, considering it is a direct sequel. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I loved her writing style. I love this, even though it's YA. I thought they had amazing chemistry. It was hot. Both of them were like, they were really hot together. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what else Kristen writes in the future. I am tempted to read her dragon series, The Last Namsara. But really, I'm just very much looking forward to reading what comes next. So I would definitely highly recommend this fantasy romance young adult series to you. It's only 2 books, so and you fly through it. Like, it's very compulsively readable. So I would highly recommend this. I'm very glad I read it. I gave the first book 5 stars and this one 4.5 stars. And I do see myself rereading this duology in the future. So I just finished Two Twisted Crowns. So this is the sequel to One Dark Window, and this is only a duology. So with this, I finished the series basically. I read One Dark Window for the video I did of reading BookTube's favorite romances video, and I gave One Dark Window 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. This one, I was struggling with a little bit. I don't know, I think it's partly the book, but also partly me. But I decided on giving it 4.5 stars. I was debating because objectively, this is a really, really good book. Like, I don't know, it just took me a bit longer to read, longer than necessary, honestly. And part of that is the type of writing style, even though I think her writing is mesmerizing. Anyway, let's talk about it. So I cannot tell you a lot of what this book is about, but I can tell you a little bit of what One Dark Window is about. So basically in One Dark Window, you follow Elspeth. And she has always had this voice inside her head. Well, not always. So basically in this world, there's magic, and there's 2 types of magic. One that is legal, and the legal way is to use magic through these different cards, and each card gives you like a different ability. And there's like 12 cards. There's a different number made for each card. So the card that has the most cards, I guess, has 12 cards, and the one that has the least only has 1 card made of that type of ability that once you touch the card will give you. I don't know if I explained that well at all. But magic in here has a cost. So each card, even though it gives you a certain ability, it also has a downside, let me give you an example. So for example, there is the golden egg card. For the golden egg, there are 11 cards made. Can you even see me? I feel like I'm a bit dark. Let me go here. So there's 11 golden egg cards, and the power it gives you when you use it is it will grant you great wealth, but if you overuse it, the consequence is all-consuming greed. So basically that is how these cards work. And like I said, that is the only legal way, because there's another way to gain magic. Like, there are kids that get infected and they become magical. Once you find the king finds out that you have that magic, basically you're sentenced to death. Because every type of magic will have consequences. So in that case, if it's actually inside you, the consequences could be severe. At least that is how the king justifies it. So you follow Elspeth. Elspeth is one of those kids that has innate magic, but nobody knows. Well, I mean, some people know, but it's kept a secret. And when she was younger, she touched the nightmare card. And ever since then, she has this voice inside her head. And now her cousin is getting married to the prince, which leads to all sorts of court politics. And she gets entangled with these highwaymen. So basically, what the king wants is to unite the deck. And for that, he has to find the Twin Elders card, which nobody has seen in centuries. But what the king doesn't know is that his nephew, Raven, is also wants to unite the deck, because whoever unites the deck can remove the mist that haunts these lands and also cure these kids of the magic, I guess. So Elspeth gets entangled in that, she eventually starts developing a romance between her and Raven, the nephew. So this starts off right where One Dark Window left off. But in this book, you actually get an extra point of view, that of Elm, the second son of the king, so Despair. If there's one thing to know about me, is I tend to love a spare prince in my books. Nikolai from the Grisha trilogy is still one of my favorite characters of all time. Or Shadow and Bone trilogy, technically, is what it's called. Rachel Gillick has such a beautiful writing style. I remember in One Dark Window being mesmerized by her writing, and here, like, she did it again. Her writing is so beautiful. On every page, there was basically a sentence that I wanted to underline, just how beautiful it was. I really enjoyed the added romance in this book, because Elm also has a romance, and I kind of preferred his romance to that of Elspeth in book 1. Even though I did enjoy Elspeth and Raven together, I feel like that it's basically mixed with the people that have read Two Twisted Crowns, whether or not they enjoyed that secondary romance. But I really love that romance. I love Elm as a character, so I did love reading more about him, finding out more about him, and also his romance I just really enjoyed. I was rooting for them. I loved their banter together, and I loved the I love the progression of them together, and it was just great. So I guess those are my thoughts. 4.5 stars. I would definitely recommend this duology, and I really want to read her second one. I think I'm gonna wait for the sequel to come out to read The Night and the Moth, I believe that what the first book is called. So I think I'll be waiting until next year, unless I have to read it for a video project. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it. It is very slow burn though, so keep that in mind. Like, take your time reading these books because it's not a fast-paced writing style. I do feel like in this book, especially towards the end, like the plot started really picking up and I really couldn't put it down. But the rest of the book, it was very easy for me to put down. So yeah, that was the Shepherd King duology. And this is a series that I started this year. I started it in January and I finished it this year, so that is good for me. So here we are. These are all the books. If you have any questions or anything, or if you're confused about anything, let me know and I'll hopefully clear anything up for you about like the timeline or when I read a particular book. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll talk to you later. Bye.